Use the microphones here on your
Well, thank you for representing.
desk, or use the microphones up here if you're speaking to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Drink like a water. Yeah, but later. That's for later, Brendan. $3 a pop.
All right,
Is
so,
our digital world ready?
yeah, we're good. We'll get it figured out where we're going. So,
Okay.
we don't have our chairman tonight, so we have our vice chair is gonna, Roy Newman will be doing our duties as vice chair. And there's an agenda over here. Everybody wants an agenda on the table. And so Roy, go ahead if you want to start the meeting.
All right. I'd like to call the meeting to order. Number 2, Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag,
United
States
States
of America, and to the republic which stands one nation under God.
I do not have a total list of
Yeah,
members.
let me go ahead and get that. I'll do roll call. Hold on just a second. Okay, roll call. Charles Chuck Peters. Kels Barrett. Jerry Huntley.
Present.
Roy Newman.
Present.
Bob Froggy. And Rodney Sparks.
Approval of minutes, July 18, 2024.
We'll need a motion to accept. If there are any changes, let me know. A motion to accept in a second. Okay. Was there a second?
Yes.
Yes. Aye.
All vote nay. Vote
Very good. So we have, go ahead.
Cases, well, I'm on Article 5, Section 5 there. Cases. File number PZ-24-010, approval of site development plan for 8 townhomes on Manhattan Boulevard. Applicant SSWM Development LLC. I'm assuming there is a
Yeah, we have a staff report.
documentation set out on this.
Yeah, and Kurt will give us the staff report. I guess Cindy was supposed to be here, but she got hung up.
Cindy was in a conference several hours away from here, and she got hung up. So I'll be bringing up the staff report. I can handle it, Brendan.
Oh, you want me to
It's
sit
not your
down?
turn yet.
Okay,
Yeah,
I'm
he'll
sorry.
go ahead and do a report, and
Yeah.
then you can come up and answer any questions or add any points to that.
Okay. So public hearing was published in the Link Reader on August 29. And the adjacent property owners were mailed notification per the notification requirements in the zoning ordinance, also from KRS. The applicant is proposing to construct 8 townhomes along Manhattan Boulevard. Does anybody want a copy of this to follow along? I've got a couple extras. You guys want a copy?
And I got one too.
Here you go. Here's a couple.
I'll grab one to have for hard copy.
All right. So there you go. Is anybody else down there? Oh, you. Let's see. Okay. So the master plan was approved as a mixed land use development, mixed land use zone, and is also subject to Manhattan Harbor pattern book. The Architectural Review Committee met and approved the architectural aspects of this site in 2023. I have minutes from that one as well. The issue tonight is approving the site plan. So it's looking to section 920, how we review site plans.
Have it up here if you need
Oh,
it.
okay. If anybody needs, I'm not gonna, we don't really have slides, but I just have a copy of this up there, but if anybody needs, we have it here. So, when we review these site plans, we have bullet points that we go through in our zoning regulations, and we do follow the city of Dayton zoning regulations, although they're fairly consistent across northern Kentucky, having all descended from the old Northern Kentucky Area Planning Commission. Our plans were received electronically. They are easier to review that way anyway. We prefer that. It's described as 8 townhome style attached single-family homes with attached garages. The existing mixed land use zone permits both attached and detached single-family homes. And as you know, the connection right here has been completed to Berry Street. The view shed to the river is to remain unobstructed to the west of the first unit. A parcel to the west of the proposed development, which will be kept undeveloped as a view shed parcel, shall be used to provide public access to Riverfront Commons River's Edge Trail that will be constructed behind the development site. An easement was granted to the city for this trailhead. The front of the view shed parcel also may be established as a public amenity by the city. In addition, a portion of the back north side of these lots behind the buildings also will be used to provide access to the River's Edge Trail as agreed by the city and the developer. The Manhattan Harbor Architectural Review Committee indicated a preference for a turnaround at the first unit, as shown in the diagram below, to avoid vehicles backing out of the intersection. The city's engineer reviewed the plan and noted that the three-way stop should be adequate without the turnaround. So the request for the turnaround should not be performed due to a conflict with the trailhead easement. Cindy's put in some clips of the existing topography and proposed topography. There was a grading plan included. In 2017, a determination was made that the site was above the base flood elevation. They got the LOMR-F from the FEMA. Additional plans were submitted confirming the elevation of the lowest floor of the building. This is Unit 8, so there's a certificate here. This is Unit 8 with a basement floor exceeding 506. In 22, a Section 408 statement of no objection was sought from the Army Corps of Engineers regarding the foundation. Early plans were adjusted to confirm that the pier system for the foundation of the structures would not intrude into the toe of the slope for the levee. Landscaping plans were adjusted in consideration of the toe of the slope. Concurrence from the Army Corps of Engineers on the revised plan was provided, stating that the proposed improvement is outside the zone of influence. We do have our engineer here tonight too, so he can go into the more details about the nuts and bolts of it. Cindy's also put a couple more drawings in there. Utility plan was included showing that easements and details for the sanitary sewer and storm sewer, and then water and electric is available. There's some profiles of the structure showing the underpinnings of it there. Pier system. There's some elevation drawings on page 6 showing the street view, the river view, and the side view. There's some artistic rendering showing it with color and cars. I will note that these do reflect the requested glass glazed garage doors. In this picture here on page 7, the site proposes 1 curb cut for each of the 8 units. So that's 8 curb cuts. And then the driveway slope toward the buildings. The Architectural Review Committee requested that the garage doors be architecturally significant. And this drawing here reflects that. That is part of our recommendation at the end. Glazed doors similar to the renderings were proposed. Stamp paving in the driveways was proposed. The Architectural Review Committee confirmed that the front and sides of the building will be brick. On the rear, the riverside, the foundation is concrete. The lower level facade is brick. The remaining facade may be cedar or hardy plank. A privacy panel on the decks between units was recommended. What else we got? We got some floor plans here, basically showing the layout of the townhouses. A couple different styles, I guess, but they're all single family attached houses. So that's the proposal. There are 8 new houses on Manhattan Boulevard. We've got a view shed easement. We got a requirement that we glaze the doors. Got a couple notes from the Architectural Review Committee. So the staff recommendation is to approve the development plan with these 2 conditions: that the turnaround for Unit 1 shall be non-performed it's an awkward phrasing, shall not be performed as it is, as to not conflict with the trailhead easement or obstruct the view shed. So we're not going to, we don't necessarily want to require the turnaround. And then the second condition would be the facades as proposed by the committee. The architectural review committee must include glazed garage doors, stamped driveways, front sides, and the front sides and rear lower level be brick. Our supporting information and bases for the recommendation is that the plan has been reviewed and found to be in general compliance with Article 9, Section 920 of some of the bullet points we mentioned in the earlier part of the staff report. The proposed site development plan is consistent with the mixed land use zone and pattern book as previously adopted. It meets the zoning. Proper legal notice was given for a site development plan. I will also add that we did not receive any comment from the public. Nobody called in a question about it or wrote in or emailed. So despite public notice and letters, nobody seemed to have an interest in it. So Mr. Vice Chair, I'll give the floor back to you, and we can have our applicant, our engineer here as well.
Right. Thank
So
you.
the applicant is here and his engineer is here as well. Brendan Sullivan is the applicant and the engineer is his engineer as well.
So the applicant, would you like to present to us at some?
Yes, my name is Brendan Sullivan. We are the developers of the proposed site here. We did spend a significant amount of time with Jay, Kurt, and Cindy Minter, and we met here on this site. And that little turnaround, the one thing that they're not recommending, that was one of the recommendations from Cindy to us because they didn't want people backing out necessarily that high up because the other cars are. So it was not our intent. I mean, we could or not, but not
I
do
can,
that.
and our engineer looked at it and says he's not concerned now because there's a stop sign there and that a back out should not be a problem there because
Yeah.
people are stopping there anyway. So, and in light of the fact we're putting a trail easement down there, we wanted to be able to have that space to use for access to the trail ramp going down to the lower trail. So
And the other thing we did on the site, which really helped on this, is we did justify it as far to the right as we conceivably could to leave the easement area for the city. That's what they wanted, to do a trail there, which we're actually really happy with that. We think, it helps, it benefits our site, it benefits the city. It's at the top of Berry Street. It's a really good connection point. So for us, we really like the recommendations that Cindy and the board gave us on the architectural review. And, we agree with what the recommendation of the county is on this. And I brought my engineer, so if you see anything wrong with this plan, it's likely his issue. No, I'm just kidding. The thing with them is it's the highest site on the job site, so we're probably gonna have to do a little bit of a retaining wall behind there, just hold the building up. But yeah, but they're gonna try to make the connection. Is that what you're asking? They're gonna try to make the connection there. And we told Jay that whatever the city needed, we'll cooperate with.
So in terms of that trail, there is a lower trail. Phase 1's been done. Phase 2 and 3, we finally got SHPO approval of that just like 2 weeks ago. And so we're waiting any day now from the state highway department to sign off on us to move forward. So that's good news. But yeah, so once this is done, there will be a trail down there. And ultimately, it won't be at the same phase of phase 2 and 3 are, but there will be a ramp, ADA accessible ramp that will go down right off this intersection down to the trail.
Because it's such a high site, it just means there's going to be quite a few switchbacks. So we told the city whatever, we like it. We like the access right there. Because otherwise you have to go, far down one way or the other to gain access to that trail. And that's going to be one of the best parts of the entire development, right? But to us, the only thing I'll add is this is going to be the most expensive set of buildings down there because it is the highest. And we did the architect did a great job on making sure the full fronts were bricked on both sides. And then Jay and his group, or Cindy, had asked for the garage doors, which, we were planning on doing something very nice anyway, but now it's integrated into the plan.
Any other questions to technical staff or the developer?
How do you how to deal with the report? You guys have satisfied ability to communicate, get answers effectively, you guys have take on whatever bill.
Yes, so there were two major things that they were looking at. A was after we placed the fill, we had to get that officially out of the floodplain, which was the first stage. We did that many years ago. The second thing was when they're putting their foundations in, they want to make sure that we don't penetrate that old levee. So we had to cut a bunch of cross sections and show exactly where the building were, but we satisfied them on that. And yes, they've been real responsive and
Yeah, well, I was just gonna say they're shallower on the front because the levee wall goes, so they're gonna be shallower here than on the back. They're gonna go all the way down.
they're around 20, I think 18 feet in the front and deeper in the back, but around 20-ish
And-
feet.
Do they require that you anchor into bedrock or
No.
that's like peered into?
It's- It's peered in and that whole thing kind of acts as like a mat to hold the whole building together. So it can't just, you got a soft spot, the building can't just sink. The whole thing has to act together. So
Want to make sure everybody, they better understand. That's a lot of money to make sure you get a good solid.
Well, yeah, we know there's a lot of problems on the other side, so we're determined to make sure that that doesn't happen on this side. So it's, I think he over designs, but we need him. So we're all good. They do. Well, and the other thing about it, which is really interesting, the buyers are way more sophisticated now. So one of the first things they ask is, are you out of the floodplain and prove it to me? And what did you do with the piers to hold the building up? So we give them a full set of drawings and go, here you go. But, whatever you need, you've got it. So yeah, no problem.
Is the rendering as shown what we're gonna see when it's done?
We're totally changing it, Jerry.
Well, you got the orange one in there, the pumpkin.
Well,
That was never, we've never seen a pumpkin picture. before.
yeah, well, that was a very popular color. It's very interesting because I look at the developments that were done in 2020 and 21, that happened to be the color of those years. So, yeah, and some of our tenants or buyers have brought that up too. So,
No, this looks good.
yeah, we don't like to make them too dark. The waterfront maybe is a little darker than we like, but we've got a lot of really positive comments about that, and it looks a little more contemporary. And this building's going to pretty much follow along a little bit with that, maybe a little lighter color. Any other questions you guys have for me?
Yeah, I've got a series of just clarification.
Yes, sir.
No real challenge here. The public access easement, is that something that the city of Dayton makes happen or?
Yeah, so we have an easement that they have the right to develop this. We obtained an easement through that area. There was a view shed required anyway, so nothing was going to be built there. But that view shed / easement is where the access will happen. And they've signed off an easement to allow us to do that.
And I don't know, maybe a month ago, Jay and I met and I signed whatever easement documents that were. Who drafted those? Did your guy draft those?
That was about 3 or 4 weeks ago.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your guy drafted those, right?
Yeah, we had,
It's already in place. The easement's there.
our attorney
Is
drafted.
it wide enough for like ambulances to get down to the waterfront?
I'm not sure if it is,
Because the trail is supposed to be wide enough for ambulances.
yeah, so the trail, yeah, definitely going down, you can get to, on either side, the ambulance can go down, but I'm not sure with the turns.
Pedestrian, bicycle.
Yeah, they definitely
Yeah.
can go down, but I'm not
I
sure.
would just say, and I don't know this to be a fact, but it would, if an ambulance was going, the last thing it'd probably want to do is go down, a series of switchbacks, right?
Oh, it's got switch-
It's on both ends.
And-
Yeah, but there'll be the paved part.
Right, that's what I said.
Yeah,
And that they can't function.
I'm not sure. Yeah, it hasn't really been fully designed yet. I mean, they're just concepts right there, right now, but it could be switchbacks, which make ambulance impossible. But you can get to it from either side of the.
Okay, good. Are there any parking restrictions in that, beyond that intersection, other than, block driveways? Is it open parking along that?
There is, well, that's a city question. We wouldn't do
Currently,
it.
no parking restrictions on that street, and there won't be parking allowed in front of these buildings because they all have curb cuts over
If
there.
a
so-
guest was at this driveway, it'd be parking like at a driveway, in the driveway, so their sidewalk doesn't get.
Yeah. I
uh,
don't think you'll be able to park in front of these buildings. I don't think the gaps between the driveways is big enough.
And
Yeah, I
that's-
saw street parking.
Okay, I'm talking about. after
Street?
that public access. People drive.
We would put, that's in the middle, that's in an intersection, so there won't be any. And if nothing else, we'll mark it so that there's no parking there. We'll have we'll have a crosswalk right from where the new kiosk is across to that.
And that would be on the west end of this collection of roads.
It's right here at the top of the street. And so we'll be at the west end. It ends just before Berry Street starts.
Okay.
There's the intersection, and then there's a crosswalk which goes to the easement on the west side.
Okay, thank you very much.
Is that it? Any more questions?
I have questions.
Yeah, we have an audience member wants to
Oh,
comment.
I'm sorry, I couldn't see you, sir.
Come on up if you want to speak.
Yes, sir.
Sorry, just hopefully a quick question. And you guys probably have talked through this already, but will there be will any of this structure obstruct any views from the top of the flood wall or the views from any current properties or any future properties that plan to be built?
I can answer that. The city made us justify the way, currently, we have an exhibit, which is in their document here, that shows when you're at the top of Berry Street, our building does not block you from either side. So that was required very early on in the planning book. And our architect worked with the city to make sure it was shoved over far enough. So when you get to the top of Berry Street, you have the right.
There may be some obstruction from the top of the levee. Is that what you're talking about, from the
Yeah.
levee? It's 3 stories high, well, 2.5, I guess, I'm not sure.
Mhm.
So there may be some, but that's not unusual. A lot of those buildings down there have some obstruction.
Almost all of them are that height.
Yeah.
So it's not a height issue, it's a making sure the gap is there. The easement's there, and our widest gap on our site is that side of the site. I think it's about 20. No, that's right, to the buildings next door. Remember, it's the highest site, so overall it'll be high, but, they're all sort of about the same height. Any other questions? Jerry, I promise, no fire engine red.
Staff or, yeah.
My only concern, and it has nothing to do, I think this looks great, is a separate issue that we as the zoning committee have got to figure out how to keep the people that are coming up from the barge and stuff on Saturday nights, to keep from totaling 3 vehicles on a Saturday night. Just because it's the easy, quick, fast access down and to protect their new property.
You could put what they do at the end of the trail, which might be recommended, is bollards, so cars don't try to be stupid up there. That would be the only thing, and they do that in a number of areas. I haven't only seen it here. I've seen it in other areas that you have to have a key to be able to gain your access, right?
Yeah,
That's-
we do have bollards at the end of the
I
trail.
saw that.
And we would put them up here too.
I would think that would be the ideal
Yeah.
spot for them, and that's a good point, Jerry.
For sure.
Also, I have a question to you, Jay. I've participated in past discussions on waterfront and the trail on the waterfront. They just invited me.
Who did?
I did.
Okay.
And one of the questions I've raised in several sessions is there may be a growing interest in kayak, stop somewhere.
We're already on it.
Yeah,
Yeah, so there's an old boat ramp down, I'm not sure what street it dumps out, might be Benham, down at Benham, right next to the apartment building that was once called, well, now it's called Manhattan on the River. There's an old boat ramp there, and we envision having a kayak, making that kayak launch. That's it. That's in our long-term plans. Once phase 2 and 3 is done, that's the next, this ramp and that are the next 2 things on the trail.
how close would this public access be?
You would be, public access, we right down, it would be probably 150 feet maybe.
So this could be used by people on the water.
Yes,
Doing a stop today.
Yes.
And partaking in Dayton.
Yes, it's right. It's, yeah, we've already got plans for it, but it's like, after the trail gets done, then it's gonna be cleared out and we'll have a lot more access to it. But it's already an old ramp down there and it's perfect. There's like little, sandy beaches on both sides of it. So it's a perfect location for it.
And the other question, not really related to this project, but probably the early hearings where we had consultant come to Dayton, develop ideas, concepts for that. What are we gonna do about all those volunteer trees? Do those come down? Do those?
They're coming down. When the trail goes, those trees are coming down. And that's,
Because that affects these homeowners.
yes, for sure. So what we hope to do is get this contract bid for phase 2 and 3 this fall.
Right.
And then this winter work on the grading and the tree removal. And then spring construction season start on the construction when the weather comes. So that's our plan. Yeah, Brendan's made it very clear his concerns about the trees. And so we came through and cut back a lot of trees a couple years ago. We paid close to $20,000 the city did to cut trees, but only mainly where the trail currently was. But now we're going to do the rest of it when we do construction. But instead of doing it ahead of time, we'll do part of the construction. Will save us money. That's what we're waiting on.
Thank you.
Hey, Brendan, question.
Gosh, my engineers.
No, you're
The minute I did that.
No, you're good. Quick question, do you put any kind of limitation on how many cars a homeowner can have in these new buildings?
We don't so far. We have 2 parking spots, which is more than what's required per building that's covered. And then we have a couple of spots out in front of every one of these units. So far we've been lucky, but I see a couple of cars out in front of, let's say, the 5 family every once in a while. But no, we haven't had an issue yet in front of any of our buildings so far. And they're just now getting filled up, right? So the only time I think that happens is, yeah, like somebody in one of our condos, they can't have a 3rd car and park it in the drive. And they can't park it on the street. So that's going to be an issue. It's probably 2 cars. The condos may be different. If they had a 3rd car, I'm guessing that would be parked in the drive, but it would be,
They're parking them on the street, that's how the 3 cars got totaled in.
well, I don't know what happened with that, but I think one of
They're
our
not allowed to
tenants
park
actually.
they're not allowed to park on the levee. If they park on the levee, that's a no-no. The Corps of Engineers tells us we have to get those off there.
It's on the right-hand side, but it's still,
Why were they ticketed?
no, they weren't on the levee side, they were on
But you
the,
said they got towed?
no, they got totaled.
There was an
Destructed, destroyed, boom.
Somebody hit them. Towed old.
Cars
Okay.
got totaled.
I didn't know
Was
that.
that a drunk driver? I didn't read the article. I just heard about it.
It was terrible.
Well, no wonder why you're so worried about,
Well, Beth and I cleaned up all the glass
yeah.
because it wasn't cleaned up. It was, it was a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank God they weren't
Supposed
humans.
to clean that up. They didn't do a very good job, for sure. I know the fire department swept it away out of the main travel path, but the tow company's supposed to clean that up. They didn't do it.
Now, I was just concerned about how many cars have been parking on the street, and that also includes Tapestry or whatever it's now called and everything. I mean, there's cars all over the streets.
And those are usually people that aren't living there. You have to have a permit to park in that garage. If they have visitors and they're staying overnight, they generally park on the street. That's why they're parking out there.
Real quick, that contract, I'm reading this correct, you guys have basically 2 off parking spots in front of the drive, is that correct?
They're off street. Yeah, they could potentially park there. Like I see some of our,
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to park there because obviously you're blocking the drive.
yeah.
Right.
But with regards to the 8 townhomes, these guys are getting right by parking.
Well,
Especially see it off where it can be on.
and the other thing about it is our driveways, because they're single family attached, they all access the street. You really can't park between the median areas. There's no space in front of these buildings to do that.
I was concerned instead of that one. As
Yeah.
we continue to develop and grow.
Yep.
Okay, we're good.
Well, I mean, I will say this, we've been really happy with the buyers and the people that have moved in. We've moved a number of Reds players in, as you know. We've had really good, high-level, high-end tenancy with the people that have come in. And some of these guys, we were just talking about today, are getting renewed. So we're happy with who we have. Nobody seems to be, yeah, they're good. They're good. Again, thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Any other further comments, questions? About
First, please thank Cindy for
I will.
recommendation. Forward. Just out of curiosity, you guys going with party plank or wood side on back? Going with party plank, party board, or?
It'll be, yes, and it's, I think they're not,
Okay.
So the staff recommendation is to approve the development plan with the following conditions. The turnaround for Unit 1 shall be non-performed as not to conflict with the trailhead easement or obstruct the view shed. And B, the facades as proposed by the Manhattan Harbor Architectural Review Committee must include glazed garage doors, stamped driveways, front, sides, and rear lower level brick. That's your recommendation from the staff.
do we have a motion to vote on? For this.
We have a motion? Okay, Rodney Sparks motion. Who'd you hit second? I heard a couple of them.
Second,
So, okay,
and
Kel's the second? Okay, okay,
it's a
all right.
All right, all those in favor, vote yes or aye.
Aye.
All not in favor, no.
Okay,
It's unanimous. Thank you, gentlemen.
thank you all. Have a great night.
Good luck to you. Okay, the second item tonight is B, file number PZ 24037, zoning text amendment to amend the city's zoning regulations. Regulate vape stores and liquor stores within the central business district, otherwise known as CBD zone, and the neighborhood commercial district and CD zone. So I believe our
Yeah, so
rep has some language for us.
we do, yeah. So the city asked us to do this. I brought this last month. We only had 2 people, but in the interim, I kind of tweaked it a little bit. So I give you a little bit of an option. First part of it is simply removing packaged liquor and alcohol beverage stores from the CBD district. So
which
it would
is
be just-
basically, explain where that is. Yeah.
Well, the 6th Street, kind of the Main Street corridor, that's, your main central business district. The intention is to move liquor stores out of that range. They would still be permitted in the neighborhood commercial district. So that particular text amendment is very simple. It's just a strikeout. Take that permitted use off the list. So I can move on to that. If there's some discussion about that, we can do that, or I can just tell you the rest of them because there's 2 more. I'll move on.
Quick question.
Oh, sure.
How many currently exist?
How many what?
Currently, how many do you have in the CBD right now?
We don't have any, but someone was looking at putting one in Tony's Old Saloon, which is in a residential neighborhood. We just didn't think it was a good fit. And Bellevue's dealing with this with vape shops on Fairfield, and they are, so we just felt we'd be proactive and avoid it we want that to be more of an entertainment district with restaurants, and we think that these type of uses are better served in the neighborhood commercial where they already are.
Understood.
Okay.
None to currently worry about, just these solid things.
Mhm.
They say that, I think, that buyers.
More focused on, there's some retail, but more focused on, yeah, a mixed use, some retail, restaurants, coffee shops. We don't think that the buildings are right in terms of the people who come to a liquor store or a vape store. a better place for them is neighborhood commercial, where there's a large parking lot and it's, not taking up space in our downtown district. We're trying to revive. So we want to keep them focused in NCD and not in the downtown business district. We think they're better uses down there than liquor stores and vape shops.
Yeah, the neighborhood commercial would be better suited to handle larger volumes of customers than the central business district. You know, liquor stores are typically stop and shop, they're not stay and shop type of stuff. So I think that's kind of the tenor of the requirement, that they want to keep the central business district a little bit more,
I guess pedestrian.
pedestrian
focused
friendly.
As
And
opposed to,
neighborhood commercial.
They were central.
yeah, so they both are in the historic district. Neighborhood commercial ends up there near Bellevue. It starts at O'Fallon and goes about a block to the was that Marathon? No, not Marathon. The other gasoline station there. Yeah, that's the neighborhood commercial district. And then it's residential, like where you live, and then it starts as CBD right around where Brusky is, I think, or maybe, I think around Brusky. Maybe one block further, I can't remember. Yeah, maybe
I think
Brusky.
he's in the CBD.
Yeah, so that's where the central business, and then it runs to Main Street, which is where the new coffee shop is so that's the central business district.
So the second half of that is the vape shop question. So I give you an option. Initially, I was just going to add it as a permitted use, but I thought maybe you'd like to look at it as a conditional use. So if somebody wants to do a vape shop, you can bring them to the Board of Adjustments and they have to present it there as a conditional use. If you were doing it as a permitted use, it's simply just a change of use form they fill out and they go right in. So that's the language I've given you is for the vape shops, there's simply either a permitted use, just calling it tobacco retailer or electronic smoking retail store. And then for the conditional use, since we've been kind of talking about this and we've been discussing this with other cities too, this isn't the only place, we found some other conditions that we might like to put on it, which is why we thought of maybe optioning this, where we have these built-in conditions that it shall not be located within 1,000 feet of any school or daycare center. It shall not be located within 600 feet of another tobacco retailer. And that's kind of insider knowledge we got from other vape shops, where they said that when they tend to get close together, they start acting bad. They start doing things illegally. There becomes problems with, competition. So keeping them a little bit separate keeps them a little bit more better community members. They shall not allow any minors into the building, shall not sell alcohol, shall not be licensed as a food service establishment, and shall not have an entrance that opens to a common area with other retail establishments. So that's kind of based on some conversations we've had with other places. These are some conditions we might add to it. The last part of this is that I've also added some definitions. So these text amendments actually can be backed up with legal definitions in the zoning regulations. So in Article 7, I would be adding 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 entries in there to clarify what we're talking about in these.
Right.
So an electronic smoking device, electronic smoking retail store, tobacco product paraphernalia, tobacco retailer, tobacco product, vape shop. Tobacco retailers kind of old fashioned. Most of them are going to be vape shops now. We don't have
Right.
the old, like the tinder box at the mall, they're mostly going to be vape shops, but I put that in there. You never know. They might cure cancer and people are smoking again. So
Yeah, when this ordinance was passed, maybe 30 years ago, no one envisioned that there would be a thing called a vape shop, So we have to update the
yeah.
code to
So
recognize that.
Yeah, so that's what I have. I think the definitions are good. I pulled these from other cities. I got from Cincinnati, Erlanger, Lexington. I kind of borrow from a lot of places. And then, like I said, we have the choice of using a conditional use permit for your vape shops or just allow it as a permitted use.
From Steve's
So-
perspective, I think the conditional use it gives some extra protections which you wouldn't have as permitted use. So for me, I would think the city would approach that approach better than the permitted use. The problem is, even right now, there's already a vape shop down in the neighborhood commercial. So there's probably, based on, if you have this, it can't be within certain distance of another one. You're not going to get another one in there. I don't want to see 4 vape shops down there. So I think that's a better approach, is to use the conditional use approach than permitted, but that's your decision.
Let's look at KC as well, looking ahead, because that KC is all about.
Right.
In the same breath, let's talk about medical marijuana, because we want to make sure we have it all set up.
Yeah.
What if they establish like? This. How would.
So I think marijuana is for, it's like getting a prescription, but you can't smoke it there. And so, yeah, I mean, that's an interesting question. I understand we have that coming up here in a second,
Well, I
but
have another point just to